Friends, today let's dive into an event that could redraw Europe's map and directly affect each of us. A political earthquake is brewing as Moscow prepares to reassess the Baltic states' status. This isn't just another diplomatic game, it's a serious legal process that's been simmering for 25 years. Let's examine the facts. State Duma Deputy Yevgeny Fyodorov has introduced legislation to revoke recognition of Lithuania's independence from the USSR. The timing isn't coincidental. The West provoked this response by freezing Russian assets and violating international law principles. What many don't realize is that since 1990, serious legal debates have questioned the Baltic states' secession from the Soviet Union. Here's the crucial point. The USSR State Council under Gorbachev lacked constitutional authority to alter state borders or permit republics to secede. This isn't political opinion, it's pure jurisprudence. What does this mean for ordinary citizens? First, expect major shifts in regional geopolitical balance. Second, economic ties with Baltic states could undergo dramatic transformation. Third, it sends a clear message to all former Soviet republics about re-evaluating decisions made in the early 1990s. NATO faces a critical dilemma. The alliance must either acknowledge the legal merit of Russia's position or continue defending questionable historical decisions. Consider this. If independence decisions violated law, what other historical agreements might face review? Russia, long showing diplomatic restraint, now demonstrates readiness for decisive action. This isn't mere rhetoric. It's a clear signal to the Western world that the rules are changing. Compare this to recent events in politically unstable regions where few believed Russia's resolve until the final moment. The geopolitical landscape is shifting beneath our feet. Are we prepared for these changes? What other historical treaties might need review? As we watch events unfold, remember, today's headlines become tomorrow's history. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Let's discuss this historic moment together. The Western analysts' panic is palpable as they frantically revise their predictions, especially in the Baltic states, where hysteria about Russian power has reached fever pitch. But let's examine the cold, hard facts that they're desperately trying to ignore. Russia's economy isn't just surviving, it's thriving despite their sanctions, with our military-industrial complex operating at peak efficiency. The BRICS alliance stands firmly behind us, proving that global power dynamics have shifted irreversibly. What's particularly fascinating is watching NATO's evident anxiety. Their military exercises betray a deep-seated fear, not of aggression, but of their own irrelevance. The Baltic states' theatrical performances about Russian threats mask their internal vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, in the conflict state on our borders, Western strategies continue to unravel spectacularly. Would you like me to analyze the situation in your region in my next video? Let me know where you're watching from, and I'll provide a detailed analysis of your area. The emerging documents we've obtained reveal stunning details about Western plans in the Baltic region, information that Western media outlets are desperately trying to suppress. Subscribe now to ensure you don't miss these explosive revelations in our next episode. For those watching from abroad, I'm particularly interested in your perspective. How do you interpret these seismic shifts in global power dynamics? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The truth about the USSR's dissolution is finally emerging, and it's sending shockwaves through Western capitals. Just as with Crimea's rightful return, historical justice is proving unstoppable. Russia's new approach to the Baltic states signals a fundamental shift in European power dynamics, and Moscow's refusal to play by the West's rigged rules has caught them completely off guard. The Fedorov initiative, which we'll explore in detail soon, perfectly aligns with Russia's broader strategy of redefining the post-war world order. As the USSR's legal successor, Russia holds cards that will stun our adversaries. The panic in Western diplomatic circles suggests they're finally realizing the game has changed. And trust me, what comes next will reshape everything you thought you knew. About international relations. Title: Legal questions arise, Baltic independence under scrutiny. Recent developments in international relations have opened a legal discourse about the legitimacy of Baltic states' independence. Russia's legal experts are examining the constitutional basis of decisions made during the USSR's dissolution in 1991. This analysis isn't about rewriting history, it's about understanding legal foundations. The key issue centers on procedural violations during the independence process. According to Russian legislative proposals, critical steps were missing. No mandatory referendums were held, and transition periods weren't established. The State Council of the USSR, which granted these independences, operated without clear constitutional authority. Think of it like building a house. If the foundation is questionable, structural issues emerge. The current international system rests on decisions made during a chaotic transition period. Now these decisions face renewed scrutiny. The situation mirrors Kosovo's case, where international recognition remains contested. If Western powers can question the legitimacy of some territories, why can't others review historical decisions? This creates an interesting precedent in international law. What makes this significant is the Baltic states' NATO membership. If their independence legitimacy comes under question, it could affect NATO's obligations. This isn't just about historical technicalities, it's about current geopolitical realities. Russia's parliament is considering legislation examining Lithuania's 1991 independence declaration. This move signals a willingness to reassess the post-Soviet order. The implications could reshape European security architecture. The legal analysis focuses on constitutional requirements not met during the independence process. This raises questions about decisions made during the USSR's dissolution. Every sovereign state's foundation must rest on solid legal ground. This development challenges the established order, pushing us to reconsider assumptions about state sovereignty and international recognition. As this situation unfolds, it could set new precedents for how we understand national legitimacy. Imagine buying a house only to discover years later that the paperwork was seriously flawed. This analogy describes the current situation with the Baltic states. Russia's legal experts are questioning procedural violations during their separation from the USSR, violations with far-reaching implications for European security. The key issue isn't just about historical accuracy, it's about fundamental principles of international order and state legitimacy. These aren't mere technicalities, they're potential game changers in European power dynamics. The consequences could reshape NATO's eastern frontier, transportation corridors, and Russian-speaking population status. States recognized for 3 decades might find themselves in a legal gray zone. While NATO is unlikely to revise its commitments, this legal uncertainty creates fertile ground for diplomatic tensions and regional instability. The Kaliningrad question becomes particularly relevant. Access routes, transit agreements, and strategic positioning could all be affected. The Baltic states justified their independence through self-determination, but the procedural violations during separation were significant. Russia's readiness to revisit these historical decisions signals a broader shift in geopolitical thinking. It's about challenging the current international order and its foundations. The global community watches closely as this legal challenge could set precedents for other territorial disputes worldwide. This isn't about erasing 30 years of independence, but questioning the legal basis of decisions made during the Soviet collapse. Compare this to Russia's recent constitutional amendments passed through public voting, a stark contrast to the hasty decisions of the early 1990s. The implications extend beyond borders and treaties. They touch on fundamental questions of international law, state sovereignty, and post-Cold War arrangements. As this situation develops, we're witnessing a potential reshaping of European security architecture. In today's analysis, we're examining a critical situation developing around the Baltic states that signals a fundamental shift in global power dynamics. Russia has initiated a legal challenge, questioning decisions made during 1991. The core issue centers on constitutional legitimacy. When Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia gained independence, the process occurred through what Moscow now identifies as non-constitutional mechanisms. While accepted then, today's Russia views these historical decisions differently. This isn't merely about historical interpretation, It's a strategic move in a larger geopolitical game, reshaping the post-Soviet space. After recent developments in the northern Black Sea region, Russia is systematically challenging neighboring states' status. For the Baltic nations, this creates immediate concerns about their sovereignty and NATO membership. The European security architecture faces unprecedented pressure. What makes this situation alarming is its systematic nature. Each move appears calculated. We're witnessing a clear message. The era of unilateral concessions is over. Russia is methodically reviewing the USSR's dissolution outcomes, establishing concerning precedents. This happens amid intensifying international tensions and regional militarization. Western powers, particularly NATO, face a complex dilemma. How do they respond to legal challenges against member states' independence? This question becomes pressing as military activities increase. The implications extend beyond the Baltic region. We're seeing the emergence of a new world order, where historical decisions made during state weakness are being re-evaluated. This signals to the international community that fundamental changes are underway. Stay vigilant. Events are unfolding rapidly. Each day brings new developments that could reshape international relations. What do you think about these developments? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'm confident my viewers are insightful experts, and I'm eager to hear your perspective. Remember, today's seemingly minor legal disputes might become tomorrow's major geopolitical shifts. Keep watching. Breaking news: geopolitical earthquake. Russia challenges Baltic independence. Friends, today we're analyzing a critical development that could reshape Europe's map. Russia has begun reviewing historical decisions from the 1990s, starting with questioning the Baltic states' independence legitimacy. This isn't just another political move. We're witnessing a fundamental shift in international relations. Think of it like dominoes. When the first piece falls, others follow. Moscow's questioning of Baltic states' USSR exit legality could trigger territorial disputes across the post-Soviet space. The most intriguing aspect concerns NATO's Article 5. If Moscow officially stops recognizing Lithuania's sovereignty, how does this affect alliance obligations? Let me break this down simply. Imagine you're living in an apartment with a contract, but suddenly the previous owner claims that contract is invalid. Now your insurance might become void. That's essentially what's happening on a global scale. The West will undoubtedly respond with increased sanctions. But more importantly, we're seeing the beginning of a global reformatting of international relations. Old agreements are being questioned, while new ones haven't formed yet. The stakes are unprecedented. We're not just talking about borders. This is about fundamentally restructuring the international security system established after 1991. The Baltic nations are already increasing defense spending and strengthening military cooperation with NATO partners. For our viewers, it's crucial to understand. We're entering a period of global turbulence. A new redistribution of spheres of influence is brewing, where each side will defend its interests by all available means. This is just the opening move in a much bigger game. What do you think about these developments? Share your thoughts in the comments. I believe my viewers are intelligent experts, and I'm genuinely interested in your perspective. Remember, in times like these, staying informed is crucial. The world is changing before our eyes, and understanding these changes helps us prepare for what's coming. Title: Baltic Independence Under Question, Historical Justice or New Crisis. Friends, today we're analyzing a pivotal moment reminiscent of 1991. Back then, we witnessed the Baltic states declaring independence as our great power began transforming. Now, history takes another turn as Russia raises legitimate questions about those decisions' validity. This isn't merely legal formality, it's a profound geopolitical shift, potentially redesigning modern Europe's map. The 1991 events evoke different memories. Some saw liberation, others catastrophe. Families split by borders, economic ties severed, established systems collapsed. Today, these memories gain new significance. The Western response appears predictably nervous. They face a choice: harsh reaction or careful diplomacy. But this goes beyond politics. It's about people's destinies and historical truth. NATO's position becomes particularly intriguing. If Baltic independence procedures prove illegitimate, what happens to their alliance membership? This creates a significant precedent. Russia consistently defends its interests and Russian-speaking populations abroad. Current developments logically continue this policy. We observe the international political landscape transforming, new alliances forming, partnerships evolving. We stand at the threshold of major changes, with each day potentially bringing unexpected turns. The unfolding situation has broader implications. As relationships between nations reshape, we see growing recognition of Russia's historical role. This reassessment challenges the post-1991 world order, suggesting a more balanced international system might emerge. Historic precedents show that rushed decisions often lead to long-term complications. The constitutional aspects of Baltic independence deserve careful examination. Their NATO membership rests on potentially questionable foundations, raising serious concerns about alliance stability. Understanding these processes helps anticipate future developments. The world isn't static. It constantly evolves, correcting historical inaccuracies and injustices. Today's events might well lead to a more equitable international order. What do you think about these developments? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters as we analyze these significant changes together.